Good evening and welcome to week number 5 of our study hall, The Heart of the Matter. This is what we've been talking to you about, is trying to get down to the heart of the matter. And we started, as I said, 5 weeks ago with this Don Henley song and a lot of other things that we've been talking about in the meantime. I cannot go back and recap. It was 4 weeks ago, but I do want to just remind you of the song. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to scatter. We have been talking for 4 weeks about discovering the truth of who we really are, body, soul, and spirit. I was encouraged because I had a teenage young man come up to me last Sunday morning outside of church. I mean, I don't want to say just a teenager, he's a wonderful teenage young man. And he and his family watch, but he's a teenager. I'm talking a teenager. And he said to me, I read something yesterday and I thought of you because I thought, wow, that's like a $500 slide. Pastor Mark would say that's a $500 slide. And I laughed at him. I said, what was it? And he told me what it was. I said, that is a $500 slide. I might steal it. And he said, yeah, I was thinking about your Bible study where you were talking about, the body and the soul and the spirit. And he didn't say body, soul, and spirit. He said the soma and the psyche and the pneuma. And I said, man, you listened to our study hall? And he was like, yeah, I listened. I thought it was great, and I've learned a lot. And I thought, man, I'm going to keep doing this. I almost quit last week. But if I could get one teenager to grow, and he was a blessing to me. So thank you, young man, for your encouragement. And I hope we encourage the rest of you tonight, because I can't promise you that we're going to wrap it up. But what we are going to do is this. I'm not going to recap. I'm going to pray in a moment, and then we'll jump right into this. So I'm not recapping. But go listen to the last 4 weeks, because what we're going to teach tonight, you really need to understand some of the groundwork, the foundation that makes what we're going to do tonight. Tonight we're going to get to the YBH, the yes, but how. So, okay, I understand now the body, soul, and spirit. I understand how God is working in my spirit to transform me and change me. And I understand about experiencing this daily transformation through an acknowledgement of my weaknesses, by accepting God's pruning, by abiding in that relationship and doing all the things we've learned to do. Tonight we're going to, like I call it, boots on the ground. We're going to say, okay, now what do we do? And there are 3 things that we're going to do, and I'll show you how to do them. But first, let's pray. Father, I thank you for people who are interested in growing, digging into the deeper truths of your word, understanding the heart of the matter, that we are spiritual beings experiencing a temporal time frame, not the other way around. That we are creatures designed and destined for eternity. That what we are doing on this earth right now is living out our lives in preparation for all of eternity. To work with you, to serve you, to work in your kingdom, to do the things that the universe will be about in all of eternity. That's what we're excited about. These temporal things that we have to go through to get there. We are grateful for the experience, and we ask your help with life, with choices for all that we do. And we ask now, God, that you bless everybody that has listened in tonight. You'll bless their homes, bless their families. Bless that young man. Fill him with your power and your grace. Use him for your glory. And his brother. Bless both of them, 2 wonderful young men. Bless them both tonight, God, I pray. In Jesus' name. I haven't used their names because I don't have permission, but wonderful young men, those Ramos boys. But anyway, I love you guys and appreciate your encouragement. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get super simple. We've been real deep. Now we're going to get what I call the Mark Evans kind of, okay, we got all that cool stuff. We understand it. Now what do we do? So here's what we do. Number 1, watch how profound this is. All the deep truths we've learned. Watch this. And the number 1 thing you need to do is get real. Just get real. It's time to grow up. Stop acting like babies. We're no longer immature Christians. We're on the way. We understand all these deep truths. We understand we're spending our quiet time with God. We're repenting of things. We're being transformed in the inner man. We're being made into new creatures in Christ Jesus. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to get real. We're going to stop faking the funk. We're going to stop kind of act in a certain way during the week and different on Sunday. No, I'm a new creature. I'm going to get real about my faith, about my commitment, about who I am and what it is that God is intending to happen in my life. So, some quick slides. They're not $500 ones. They're just $10 ones. Listen, the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. The Bible says there are none so deaf as those that will not hear. There are none so blind as those that will not see. We've learned over the last 4 weeks that sometimes we can actually see things with the temporal and completely misinterpret what is going on spiritually. We can see it and be absolutely wrong in our understanding, in our processing of the information, because we are temporal beings instead of spiritual beings. We can talk to our spouse and misinterpret everything that we hear and what we see on their face and read it completely wrong because we are temporal beings in the moment instead of being spiritual. And because we haven't prayed for the favor of God, I hope you've been praying for it this week, because I haven't prayed for the favor of God or for spiritual insight, and I'm not real. I'm still faking it. I'm half listening. I'm still on my phone and talking to you. I'm not in the moment. I'm not being real. That the eyes are useless. I need to wake up my insides, not just in a hunger sense, but a hunger for the truth, for the reality of what my life really is. Another quick slide. Listen, the condition of your heart shapes the expressions of your life and your leadership. So you got to get real. Why? Because you got to get real. I got to get honest. I didn't read that the right way. I'm handling this the wrong way. Get real about it. The condition of my heart is shaping the expressions of my everyday life and then my leadership, my influence. And I use that word leadership. You understand what we're talking about is influence. Whether that's my influence over a teenage kid that's watching right now, my influence over him, the condition of my heart will shape that expression, that life, and that leadership. And you can't fake this stuff. I mean, you can, but it doesn't work. You can fake it, and I hear people say something, fake it till you make it. I hate that expression. You can fake it. You can pretend something for a little while. But the reality is who we are on the inside is eventually going to manifest on the outside. And if you've got struggles and problems on the inside, they're going to manifest on the outside of your life. Character matters. I'm going to switch slides, but just leave that there for 1 second. The condition of your heart shapes the expression of your life and leadership. Don't ever listen to somebody when they're talking politics or preachers, pastors or parents. I mean, you can make the list, whatever you want, but don't let anybody ever tell you that, that doesn't affect my leadership. We listen to politicians sometimes who say, well, that's their private lives. So who they are in private doesn't matter. It doesn't affect their role in this thing. Nothing is more stupid. No statement is more foolish. And nothing is more erroneous than to think that who I am in private or who I am internally is not going to affect my leadership and the expression of my life. So how a person lives matters. What's going on inside them matters. In fact, I believe it matters more than even what you see on the outside today, because somebody can fake it today, but they can't fake it long term. And we live in a generation of fake preachers, fake politicians. I saw a video. It's old. It's not new, but someone showed me a video the other day of Mayor Pete. And I'm not here to judge Mayor Pete. I'm just saying this. It's just politicians in general. But he's in charge of transportation, and that's his. And they showed a video of the guys that he works for, his employees, unloading a bike from the back of a big SUV that he had driven all the way in a big SUV. He'd driven all the way with an SUV and a police escort, like 2 blocks from the Capitol. Then they pulled over and took out a bike from the back, and he puts his bike helmet on and he gets on, and then he drives up to the White House for the photos. The cameras see him pulling up. But they didn't realize when they were offloading that there was a restaurant or a bank or someone that had a camera, and someone got it on film, in other words. And I don't feel bad for Mayor Pete, but it's true of so many people, in other words. You can fake it. So he pulls up on his bicycle and everybody says, oh, he cares about the economy. He cares about the environment, and he's not driving a big SUV like everyone else or whatever else. It's all a big lie. It's fake. It's a sham. And I said I wasn't going to pick on Mayor Pete, but either the people working for him or him, he got a heart issue. You know why? Because he felt that he could pull that off. And whether you're a politician or a pastor or a parent, listen to me. Your kids are not stupid. Someone's going to get you on video. What you are on the inside matters. You will not be a parent with integrity if you're just faking it. You got to get real. The inside will show up on the outside. If you hate your job or hate whatever you're doing, don't worry. You probably won't have it for much longer. And I probably should say, listen, please, down below, don't comment about Mayor Pete. I'm not trying to pick on him. I could have, that happened to just be something I watched last week. Somebody showed it to me, and I thought it was quite comical. I'm like, man, talk about be sure your sins will find you out. And when I saw it, I was like, thank the Lord I don't have a camera following me around all the time, and so should you, before we get too judgmental. But it was a blaring example of what I want to talk to you about tonight, that you just got to get real. If you want to ride the bike for a photo op, that's what it is. Get real. People can deal with it if you just get real. People can deal with honesty. So be real. I'm not saying you have to be perfect in front of your children. Just get real with your children. You don't have to be perfect as a pastor. Lord, help us. None of us are. But you know what people want? They want real. So if you mess up, own it. If you get it wrong, say so. If you do something you shouldn't have done, confess it. Get real. People want real because real is what matters. It's easier to see this expression in other people, unfortunately, rather than ourselves. But I promise you, your heart determines the expression of your tone, the intensity, your communication style, and response. And you should circle that last one. We'll give you all these notes when we're done. But if you're making notes or taking a picture, circle that word response. Young man, if you're watching tonight, my teenage friends, listen, write down the word response. So much of life is about our response to situations, circumstances, people that are sometimes beyond our control. I can't control this event, but I can control my response. What's a good response? It's about getting real. What's going on in my spirit? What's really happening on the inside of me? The condition of your heart shapes the environment in which you and I live and lead. The condition of the heart. It actually shapes the environment. For years, I drove my son crazy. If you talk to him, he'll know exactly. If he says, oh, my dad drove me crazy, he could answer. Don't show him this and ask him. He'll tell you, approach. What's your approach? How do you approach a situation, and then how do you respond? And so what's that interaction like? The approach and the response. When my son was 10, 11, 12, I went over this and over this and over this. We'd go into a business, and I would tell him, watch when these people approach us. I'd take him into meetings that I had, and I would say, watch this approach. And then I would train him and show him it's how we approach a person. Some people approach, they're mad already. Have you seen people approach, they want something? I'm going to tell you right now, they start up here. There's nowhere to go. I tell people, look, your approach should always start down here. Start humble, start nice. You can always elevate, but it's hard to de-escalate. So what's my approach? But you can't fake that. It's got to be who you really are. So get real, work on the things we talked about for the last 4 weeks. Get to that place where God is moving in your life, and then just be real with people. Be humble, walk in that humility. I've just spent time with the Lord. How could I not be in a good mood? How could I not have a good attitude about this? The condition of your heart shapes the environment in which you live and lead. Listen, unhealthy people create unhealthy environments. And that's not bad enough. Here's what else is true about unhealthy people. They don't only create unhealthy environments, they are actually comfortable in that dysfunctional environment. I want that to sink in for a second. Unhealthy people create unhealthy environments, and they are actually comfortable in that dysfunction. And you need to learn this about people, because as you approach them, as you deal with them, you need to get real about them, about you, and about whether or not you're going to stay in some of those relationships with unhealthy people. I need to be real with you about this. I can't take this anymore. You create unhealthy environments and you seem to be happy in it. Someone said years ago, don't wrestle with a pig because you're both going to get muddy, and what's worse, the pig enjoys it. Sometimes, we get into debates or arguments or situations with people, and I just think, man, you're just both getting mud on you, and that person's enjoying it, and you're not. So get out. Just get real. No, I'm not. I'm going to elevate above that. No, the Holy Spirit is residing in my life. I'm gonna walk away. I'm going to walk up into this. Listen, you must intentionally determine what the moral and ethical climate of your organization. Now, I'm talking to people in a business setting, your environment in a church, in a family, in a home, whatever it is, whatever your environment is, will actually be. You must intentionally determine what the moral and ethical climate of that organization or your family will be. As for me and my house, we are going to serve the Lord. Why? Because the condition of your heart shapes the effectiveness of your effort and product. I wish I could go back 3 weeks. I can't. The condition of your heart, your spirit, shapes the effectiveness of the effort you're going to put in and the product that you are producing. So all of this is super, super important, and I'm going to give you a couple of quick things you need to know. Listen, fatigue affects your heart. You can actually overwork your spirit. Your heart, even on some great and worthwhile and meaningful goals and dreams. Energy is necessary for success. Tired eyes, weak minds rarely see a great future. When fatigue drags itself into our lives, faith often walks out the door. So we're talking now about the YBH. Okay, I understand I'm a spirit being. I understand I'm going to spend time with the Lord. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I understand that I got to get real, and I got to be real about this. And I'm going to focus on these things. And the condition of my heart shapes my life and my leadership. And unhealthy people create a bad environment. I'm going to walk away from some of those. My heart shapes what I lead and what the product that I produce. But you also need to know this, that fatigue will drastically affect this part of who you are. If you are drained physically, this is not a spiritual principle. I mean, it is a spiritual principle, but it's just a fact of life. There's a lot of things you can go without, but I'm telling you what one of them isn't: sleep. Sleep deprivation is a serious, serious problem. And when I say fatigue, I'm talking about we overwork our minds sometimes. With information, we have information overload, and we're on our phones constantly, bombarding it with everything and every electronic signal and moment. And sometimes you need to just shut that stuff off and get real. Plain stuff, I told you. Get real. Get real. The 400 friends that you have on Facebook are not your real friends. And you're tiring yourself and causing fatigue and stress in your life trying to keep all of those people that don't even really care happy or pleased with you or interested in you. And you'd be far better off shutting that down for 3/4 of the time that you use it and spend some real time with your spouse, with your kids, with your family, with people that are real. And sometimes you just need a nap. And sometimes you just need to tune out. And in Mark chapter 6, it says this: Jesus said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a secluded place and rest a little while." He wasn't talking about checking out. Some people say, "I'm checking out." No. Rest a little while. It says, "For there were many people who were continually coming and going, and they could not even find time to eat." I must confess to you that I'm super guilty in this area. That sometimes a whole day will go by and my wife says to me, "What do you want to eat?" And I haven't eaten all day. I haven't stopped to eat, even a bite. I've had a cup of tea in the morning and it's 5 o'clock at night. I haven't eaten all day. I know, don't send me emails. I know, not good. But I go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And sometimes you just have to say, "No, today I'm not doing it." But people get upset, when you say no. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I can't do that. No, somebody else will have to help you. But you have to learn to do it, to come away. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Listen, God himself rested on the seventh day after 6 days of creation. Was he tired? Of course not. Was his creativity drained? Was he all done with ideas? Of course not. But just maybe, perhaps, he was setting an example for us to see and understand the rhythms of life. That we should take a break. You should have a Sabbath day. I hope it's Sundays, but if it's not Sunday, make it another day. But I don't mean to worship, but to say, look, this is a day I'm going to rest. I hope you have a day when you can kind of unwind and say, no, I'm going to take a break. And I hope every couple of months you take a vacation, and I hope you take a few days off and you say, no, I got to get away. I got to shut down. Why? Because I know I'm overtired, and when fatigue walks in, my effectiveness, my heart suffers. The spirit man suffers. When the physical body is drained, the spirit man is affected. Remember, the three are linked: body, soul, and spirit. And so emotionally, I'm drained. I'm giving. I'm emotionally drained. My spirit will be affected. Attempting too many things at the same time affects the heart. So fatigue affects it, and attempting too many things at the same time. I've seen too many people fail from attempting too many things. John Paul Getty said, I've seen as many people fail from attempting too many things as attempting too few things. See, I'm trying to read 2 slides at once, and you can't do that. Got to slow down, Mark. Attempting too many things at the same time affects our heart. I've already mentioned it, but just look at your own life and ask yourself, is there just too much electronics sometimes? We sit in front of a computer, and then the moment we turn it off, we're looking at our phones. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy world. Attempting too many things, fatigue affects us. Paul wrote, "This one thing I do," he said in Philippians 3. He said, "This one thing I do." Listen, passion and enthusiasm are magnificent traits of uncommon achievers, and you'll get a lot done. I know you will. Unfortunately, it often results in attempting to help too many people at the same time. When you got your heart right and you're trying to get real and you're trying to help everybody, sometimes you need to remember, I got to help myself as well. When you get on an airplane, what do they tell you? When the masks drop, put it on yourself first. You'll never help your kids if you... Listen, moms that are watching me right now, if you're fatigued and you're doing too many things, your children will suffer. You need to take time for yourself. Take a nap. If they sleep, you sleep. Give yourself the break. And you gotta be prepared to rest the spirit, rest the heart, so that you can do the things that really matters. Listen, too many requirements and demands on anybody is unhealthy and can cause problems. So you got to make some decisions. This is the YBH. Get your phone ready. Watch this. Decide what matters the most in your future. Get real about this. Some of you don't get real about this. You let life push you around. You let other people's agendas. You let life kind of just move you in certain direction. Wherever the wind blows, you're putting out fires constantly. You need to make a decision what matters the most in your future. What will matter the most to you 5 years from now? No one ever does this. Let me give you the next slide, and I'll go back and forth. Watch this. The next slide says, decide what matters the most to you about today. And a lot of people do this one. They have to-do lists. But if you haven't decided what matters the most in your future, you're not going to worry about what matters the most today and get it right. You have to pick the future first. 5 years from now, what do I want? What do I want to be real in my life? What's most important to me? Is it my children? I got a kid in the 8th grade. 5 years from now, what do I want? I want to see them in a Christian school, then I got 4 years left of high school. Unless it's me, then you got 5 or 6. But you got 4 years left of high school. How am I going to start to work on that, prepare that? What decisions do I make to get me to that place? I've got to decide what matters most in the future. I got to get real about the future. Where do I want to be financially, emotionally, spiritually? What do I want to do 5 years from now? And then I can decide what matters the most today. Why? Because I'm driven by the future. So today I could look at the day and say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I got to get that done. No, you know what? I'm not doing any of those. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to go spend time with my teenage son. Why? Because I want to do that, because I'm working on that long-term goal. And that means I might upset a couple of people now, and I might tick off somebody else, but I don't care about that, because I want to do what matters the most today based on what I want my future to be. I've made this about a teenager going to college, but it could be about what your dream is. What's your financial goal 5 years from now? That'll make you decide what matters most to you today. Should I buy this or not buy this? Can I have this? Can I afford this? Yes, I can. But I got a financial goal 5 years from now, and I want to fund that. So guess what? I make this decision today based on, you see how the future helps me decide today. So decide what matters the most in your future. Decide what matters the most to you today. Woo, here, now we're getting deeper. Watch this. Discern, not decide, discern what matters least. You're going to have to start to rate things if you're going to get real about life. Discern what matters least. And this is a discernment issue. This is about letting God, the Holy Spirit, speak to your spirit and show you that there are some things I probably do and care about and fuss about and get fatigued over and spend a lot of anxiety over and everything else. And guess what? They don't matter. What matters the least? You've got to figure out what matters most based on what my choices are for the future, because that'll help me decide what's important today and will also help me discern what matters the least. I can start to say no to certain things, no to certain desires, no to certain choices, no to certain people. Those things matter least. It's not that they're unimportant. It's not that I don't care about them, but they matter the least. And so I'm going to move on to what matters most. Pinpoint your specific responsibilities to God. If you're going to get real, you're going to have to pinpoint what your specific responsibilities are to God first. How do I put God? Seek ye first the kingdom of God. I can't go back 3 weeks. I'm getting my heart, my spirit in the right place. I'm going to put God first. So I pinpoint specific responsibilities. What are my responsibilities to God? With my time, with my talent, with my tithe. Woo, there you go, all three. With my time, with my talent, with my tithe. I've specifically figured out what my responsibilities are to God. And I'm real about those. I'm getting real about them. I'm starting to volunteer. I'm starting to use my talents for the Lord. I'm going to do this. I'm starting to get those things down. And then, lastly, pinpoint your responsibilities to your family. God is first, family is second. Church ought to be third, but sometimes people get the God thing in with the church thing. They put church in with God. You need to figure out what your responsibilities are to God. And I can tell you right now that if you're volunteering every hour of the day at your church and your wife and children are missing out or suffering because of that, then you got it the wrong way around, because you haven't figured out what your responsibilities are to God, and you're not getting real about it. You got to get real. Now, I probably just talked myself out of 2 volunteers, but there's nothing wrong with volunteering at church. But if that becomes your all-consuming focus at the expense of your family, easy for pastors to do. I cannot tell you how many pastors I know who are so consumed with their ministry and their church that their own children are going to hell in a handbasket. And that can't be right. Somewhere they've gotten this list kind of messed up. What are my responsibilities to God? If I'm a father, then that's my first responsibility to God, even before being a pastor. I can tell you over the years, I don't know that I've done a fairly good job at this. I'm sure there are moments, if you ask my son, I failed, but I've done a fairly good job of it. And I try my best to even do it today. But people will judge you for it. I've always put my family, even sometimes before the church. Why? Because if I don't get my family right, what's the point in pastoring? How can I talk to you if I don't have that right? If I don't have my own child, if I don't have my own child, if I'm not pouring into my own marriage, how can I? Pinpoint your specific responsibilities to God. Pinpoint your responsibilities to your family. Decide your limitations, your frustrations, your observations, and be willing to take the first small step towards adjustment today. To what? To get real. I'm going to decide my limitations. I cannot do everything for everyone, I'm going to figure out and decide what are my frustrations. Every time I do this, I'm more frustrated. Every time I'm with those people, I'm more frustrated. And then what are my observations? Have I gotten real about my life? You know, some of the things I've gone over here tonight, you'd be amazed how many men and women today don't even think about these things. Have I decided what matters the most in my future? All they're thinking about is their next vacation. I'm planning on my next, okay, great, that's great. But what about 5 years from now? What about 10 years from now? Where do you want your family to be? Where do you want to be in your relationship with God? So decide your limitations, your frustrations, your observations, and then be willing to start acting on it. So, listen, fatigue affects the heart. Attempting too many things affect the heart. The final one I'll give you, listen, unhealthy relationships. Unhealthy relationships affect your heart. Why? Because they drain us emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And they affect the heart of who we are. So you need to be honest with yourself. And this often exists, unfortunately, in our own little circle, our own family, in associates around us. Different relationships exude different energy levels. And different relationships require different energy levels. You got to get real about, I'm going to pour into this one and pull away from this one a little bit. So you need to be honest about this unhealthy relationship. Some of your friends will generate incredible creativity and movement in your emotions and your spirit. You come alive in their presence. There are certain people that when I'm around them, I look forward to it. You dream bigger as they begin to talk to you and just share with you about their life or other situations as they pray with you. Other relationships will leave you absolutely empty, exhausted, and focused on your problems instead of your future. I've got these in my life. In my sphere, in other words, you got people that when you're with them and others, it's always draining. It's always working. It's never encouraging. It's never lifting up. It's never, wow, look what this. There's always that sense of drain to it, in other words. And you have to have those, I'm not saying you just wipe away people. We always have people that we're ministering to and we're helping and we're encouraging. And so if someone's needing you in their life, don't say, Pastor Mark said, I got to cut you off. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying you need to decide, I got to keep my soul, my spirit healthy. I got to keep my heart healthy. And so I need to understand and get real and decide to set some parameters and boundaries and figure out who do I want to give more of my time to or less of my time to. Some of your friends will generate incredible creativity and movement in your emotions and spirits. My wife and I next week will be blessed to spend a day or two with some friends that we haven't seen for a while. And just a great husband and wife, and been friends for many, many years. And we're going to get to see them for a couple of days in a week or so. And they sent a little text the other day, and you're going to think this is so goofy, but it so blessed me. So it's goofy, and you'll think I'm a real cornball, or maybe they are. But they sent me a text, and they said, just, 8 more sleeps, and we'll get to have dinner and spend a couple of days together. And listen, that text arrived on a day when I was so just emotionally drained. And guess what? Because I know them, I smiled, and it just brought joy to my heart. And I thought, man, obviously they're as excited about reconnecting and spending a couple of days together as my wife and I are. And why? Because whenever we're with them, it's just total uplift. There's never any negativity. There's never anything. It's just, it's so wonderful to be. I hope they feel the same. They're probably thinking right now, 8 more sleeps and we got to put up with Mark. But I don't know. But I hope that's not the case in us. But you have people like that in your life. And sometimes they're people that we interact with every day. Sometimes they're people that we've been friends with for years. I've got groups of friends that I might not see them for a year. And then all of a sudden we'll call each other up and we'll end up meeting somewhere or going on a trip together, and you pick up like you just left off yesterday. Why? Because they're the kind of friends that just energize who you are. And you need to get real about life and figure out. So this next slide will confuse some of you, and I hope it doesn't. Listen, every friendship does not have equal value. You must learn to embrace this, understand this, and even accept it. And then live by it. This is not about, like I said, only having, 6 friends that are all uplifters. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about getting real and understanding. Yeah, we're going to go have dinner with that person. Guess what? No, that'll be a little more, I got to pour into that. I'll feel a little fatigued when I leave, but it's okay. I got the energy level for that. God has helped me with that. And you figure those things out, in other words. But every friendship does not have equal value. And you ought to have a core of people around you, I pray that you do, that help you get real and help you come back to the heart of the matter. That could be a core group of people that are friends. I hope it's your family. For me, I'm blessed in that I work with my dad and my son and my brother Jason. And so we have a staff meeting every Tuesday morning. And most people, if they came to one of our staff meetings, they wouldn't think we get anything done because the whole environment is just one of joy. And we laugh a lot. At our last Tuesday morning staff meeting, my brother Jason got me laughing. He knows how to get to me. And I literally had to take a hanky out and wipe tears from my face. And I looked at my son and he was like, "You're never getting this meeting back." And you need people like that in your life. And I thank God for people like that. And for my staff and for the people that work with me. We got this incredible team here, in other words, that when you're with them, in other words, they're just so upbeat and they're so positive and they're not draining. And it's just a joy to be in that environment. And not every day. We got 1 or 2 of us, me especially, sometimes we get a little down. But you get around those right people and you just get real. Everything in your life has a different value. And you must learn to prioritize those things that matter most. I'm going to give you that slide, take a picture of it, and I'm going to give you a quick list. Ready? Watch this. Everything in your life has a different value, and you must learn to prioritize those things that matter most. So you got to ask a few questions. Number 1 is this: who is speaking doubt into your life? Who is it that is speaking doubt? Man, I got this great idea. Oh, that won't work. We tried that one time. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Man, okay, thanks. I'm not saying dump that person. I'm not saying get rid of them. I'm just saying if you want to get real about life and live a life of success, you're going to have to get real about this fact. Everything in your life has a different value, and you must learn to prioritize the things that matter most. So every once in a while, you got to ask yourself, who is speaking doubt into my life? Every time I talk to them, there's this nagging doubt that they bring into the conversation. And I need to identify that and understand that and maybe prioritize time to get away from that sometimes. Another one that's important is who is making you feel inferior? Who doesn't build you up but in fact tears you down? Who makes you feel inferior? Whenever you say something in front of them, they one-up you. They got, "Oh, that's a great story, but let me tell you about the time I did." They make you feel inferior. You need to prioritize that and say, wait, I got to get real about my life. I got to get real about what God wants me to be. And every time I'm with them, they make me feel inferior. So I got a couple of choices. 1, I can spend less time with them. Or 2, I have to have a conversation with them. I got to get real with them. From the heart, I got to get real with them and tell them, this is what you do to me. Why do you do this? Do you know that you do it? Some people don't even know they do it. Do you know that you're doing this to me? This is how you make me feel. And have that conversation. If it goes south, it goes south. But at least you had the conversation. Get real. Who has demonstrated great affection and loyalty and confidence in you? Who is it in your life that has demonstrated deep affection, a great sense of loyalty, and they have confidence in you? You're doing a great job. I know you can do this. Man, you got to get around that person. You got to get back in their company. You got to take them to lunch. That person I could spend some time with. Who has demonstrated great affection, loyalty, and confidence in you? I joked about my young teenage friend on Sunday morning, but man, he so built me up out there. And can I tell you something? Probably next Sunday when I leave church, I'm going to try and find him outside. And I'm certainly not going to avoid him when I see him. Why? Because he demonstrated great affection, loyalty, and confidence in me. And so you want to connect with those people. You prioritize that. It's not that I don't love other teenagers, but some of them, dear Father. I'm going to go find that young man and his brother. I'm going to say hi to him. Hey, how's it going, guys? What's going on? What's going on in your lives? Why? Because of what that past experience has been. Here's one that will shock you. Who gives you the most gifts? Who gives you the most gifts? And I'm using the term gifts here in what they bring to you, what they bring to the table. But it can also mean gifts. I've got people in my life that have blessed me with gifts. Should you prioritize those people? Yes, absolutely. This is so unspiritual, but it's so relevant. Last Sunday morning, 2 Sunday mornings ago, I went home from church, and my son said to me, came walking in the house, he's like, Dad, look at this thing. He brought in a box. It was this big like this big like this. The most giant, enormous cheesecake I've ever seen in all my life. And I was like, what in the world is that? Who gave you that? And he said, it's this man in church. He described him. I said, oh, I know who that is. Yeah. And blah, blah, blah. And, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know him and his wife. Yeah, they're great people. They're so encouraging. I can't believe they brought us this. Like, wow. He said, Dad, I guess we'll share it. And so we shared it. And in fact, I had the last piece last night. So it's 2 weeks later. I finally finished it last night. I think I gained 5 pounds. I know you're going to think me terrible in this, but the following Sunday when I came to church, I found that man and his wife, and I said, hey, I just want to say thank you. I know my son, thank you, but I want to say thank you. It was so thoughtful of you and so gracious, and it was so kind of you, and really, I just appreciate that, and boy, you're going to totally misinterpret this. Listen, I said, that was great of you. It was wonderful. Thank you so much, And he said, oh, yeah. He said, thanks, Pastor. You're welcome. You've blessed our family so much. It was just a little mutual encouragement fest there for a couple of minutes. And then he said to me, Pastor, he said, my wife asked me about the restaurant you mentioned in church. What's the name of that? And I said, oh, I'll get you the name of the place. I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you where it is. I'll tell you who to ask. I know the owner. I'll tell you who to ask for. And I said, you love cheesecake? I said, well, I'm going to tell you something. There's another place my parents go to get cheesecake, and the one you got me is fantastic, but this one's a close second, or maybe even as good, and it's right here. It's in Newtown, and I'll let you know. I said, I'll get you the information where that is, and he said to me, okay, yeah, let me know, Pastor. I said, no. I said, look, take out your phone. I said, let me give you my cell number. And I said, here's my cell number. And he looked at me, which was crazy, but he looked at me, and he was like, your cell number, Pastor? I'm like, yeah. I said, let me give you my cell number, and then you can call me, and you'll have my number. And when I get home today, shoot me a text, send me your info, I'll send you my info, and I'll get you the names of those 2 places. And he looked at his wife, and so I said, but here's the number, 203. No, I'm not giving it to you. And I said to him, when I gave it to him, I said, just do me a favor. Please don't give that number out to just anybody. My life is so insane between emails and private messages and direct messages and texts and, that people have, in other words. And so if people want to get a hold of me, I usually tell them, call the church office and I'll get back to you and everything else. And I just can't give out my cell number to, 8,000 people. In other words, I'll go bonkers, And I know some of you are saying, because the guy gave you a cheesecake, you gave him your cell number? Here's my answer. Look right in my face here. Watch me get real with you. Yes. Yes. Why? Because the gift opened a door of connection. And so when people give you gifts, whether it's a cheesecake or their time or their interest, it makes us reciprocate to those things. Now do not show up in church on Sunday with an apple pie or a cheesecake. I'm too fat. I don't need it. I shouldn't have eaten the one that was given to me. And I hope it's not too personal of an analogy to explain to you that you wouldn't give your cell number to everybody either. We get bugged enough on our cell phones today. We get bothered enough in those. I don't need more calls. I need less of those. Now, I know this brother. I know his wife. They're not going to text me at 11:30 at night. Hey, Pastor, can you? They're gracious. They're kind people in us. But I don't mind making a connection. Why? Because I understand that I prioritize things. Not every relationship has the same value. Not every event in life and every moment has different value. And if you're offended by that, watch me offend you further. If you're offended by that, what you're showing me or anyone else that you share that offense with is this. That you're going to look on that list at some other things and say, well, that's where you fit in. So don't be that person. Don't be offended by that. Say, man, that makes a lot of sense. And you know what? The next time someone gives me a gift, I had someone stop me yesterday and they said to me, Pastor, I finished your job and I quoted the person what they said they were going to pay me. And when I was all done, they said to me, you didn't charge me enough. And they gave me an incredible bonus. They said, here's the check for what we owe you, and here's another check. And it was a lot of money, thousands of dollars. They said, you way undercharged. I want to give you this. Didn't have to. Total integrity on that person's part. And the person asked me, they said, Pastor, I want to send a text or a message, but what should I say? I said, I'll tell you what you should say. In absolute humbleness and humility, you should say, man, you have absolutely made my day. You are my number one customer. If you need anything from me ever, you let me know. You didn't need to do this and you didn't have to do this. And I know 100 other customers that wouldn't have done that. But you are now on the top of my list for customers. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm on a learning curve. I'm new in this business and I'm learning and growing. So thank you for the education and thank you for helping me maybe price a job better the next time. Don't act all like you deserved it. Well, I did a great job. Thank you so much. I appreciate you recognizing my superior workmanship. There's a right, I prioritize things. Who gives you the most gifts? Doesn't have to be a cheesecake. It can be just time. Who's willing to spend the most time with you? That's an obvious one, okay? Let's move on. What happens in your spirit in the presence of specific friendships? I've already talked a little bit about this and highlighted it. So what happens in your spirit in the presence of specific friendships? When I'm with them, there's a thing called the transference of spirits. If you don't believe that, have children, and eventually what you'll tell them is, I don't like you when you hang out with Johnny. Sorry, Johnny, but I don't like who you are when you hang out with Mary. I don't like who you are when we are who we hang out with. What happens in your spirit in the presence of specific friendships? Now listen, I can't go back. You need 4 weeks to understand this. Why? Because you're acting as a temporal being. In every interaction, you're just a temporal being. And so you miss moments of opportunity and blessing and usefulness. Because you don't stop and think, what's going on in my spirit when I'm in this specific friendship? Listen, do you have a friend that is angry because you invest your time and energy in your assignment instead of them personally? Do you have a friend that's angry because you invest your time and energy in your assignment instead of them personally? I just told you, I'm probably going to be in so much trouble because I told that story about my new friend and my new cell phone buddy because of a cheesecake. But you have to understand, my assignment is to connect with people and help them grow spiritually. And so I got a better connection with someone. Why? Because I recognized their willingness to participate in my assignment. It doesn't take a cheesecake. It can have. I could show you that same exact scenario in different areas and in different ways. But if you're one of those people that's upset and bothered by that, you're not one of those people that I want to give my cell phone number to, or that I want to prioritize high on my list of people to spend time with. Why? Because you're missing the moment. Do you have friends that sometimes get angry because you invest your time and energy in your assignment instead of them personally? Why can't you never hang around? You don't want to be my friend. I always got to be your friend. You didn't friend me back. You didn't invite me to think. Oh, get real. Listen, withdraw from those who stay unhappy with you without a true reason or cause. I got 3 more I want to share with you, but I'm out of time. Listen to me. You need to just get real. I got to get real. I got to decide these things. I've got to get down to the heart of the matter and figure out what really matters. What is real in life? What is temporal? What is permanent? What is eternal? I closed my message on Sunday morning with a little thing I'd written. Is there anything eternal in my life? Is there anything of lasting value? Or have I just written in the sand? Have I spent a lot of time building something? I love when we go to my grandkids to the beach and we spend hours sometimes, or I watch them building castles and moats and everything else. And then you think to yourself, you spent all day doing that, but tomorrow morning when you come down here, that's going to be gone. Why? Because we built it here on the sand. Maybe we should take some sand up by the pool and build, well, they would get upset with us, but maybe we should build it over there. Sometimes you need to withdraw from those who stay unhappy with you without a true reason and a cause. Now look, it's like I said, if you're offended because I told you that story about the cheesecake, you got to get real. Are there people that I've actually offended because I'm an outspoken guy? Yeah, sometimes. I'm sure I have. Have I written letters of apology as a pastor? Absolutely. Have I sent emails? Have I gone to people personally and say, hey, guess what? When I saw you last week, I didn't handle that right. I was in the wrong frame of mind. My spirit was fatigued. I wasn't real with you. I wasn't the way Jesus wanted me to be. And I apologize. I put it right. But if there are people who are unhappy with you without true reason and cause, you need to maybe withdraw from that and say, I got to get real about life. If you'll tune in next week, I'm going to give you a little bit more of this. Father, help us to get real. Help us to stop faking who we are, what we are for other people, for the people around us. And even sometimes, God, for you, how foolish of us to think that we could deceive you. But we act a certain way and we sound a certain way, but our heart is far from it. So God, help us to get real in our faith, in our lives, in our relationships, in our conversations. Not get unkind, not get rude, but get real. And really discern and understand what is going on in our heart, in our spirits, and help us to be real in life. We ask this in Jesus' name. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. Join us Sunday. We're going to be in week 2 of our leadership series. We were having a lot of fun last week with Joseph. And I would encourage you this Sunday, if you're coming to church, read the book of Esther. It's just, I forget how many chapters it is, but it's not a lot. Read the whole book. Read the book of Esther. Understand the story of Esther. And we're going to talk a little bit about her leadership, some of her skill set, and you'll be blessed if you come to church on Sunday. So read the book of Esther. Don't watch the movie. Read the book of Esther and come on Sunday morning. God love you. God bless you. Thanks for letting us into your home tonight.